So McGregor is just nuts. And I guess this is what Dana White and Conor and the team envisioned. It got really testy, almost along racial lines yesterday with Conor McGregor. I guess I would ask, Kevin, what's the end game for Conor, do you think, here?
Colin, I think what he's trying to do is he is trying to make this the biggest fight of all time. He's not nuts. He's dumb as a fox. He knows what he's doing, and he's very calculated in what's going on out there. And the Manny Pacquiao fight with Floyd Mayweather in 2015, they sold 4.6 million pay-per-views. It grossed $640 million. And I think Conor feels like with him promoting it, Manny didn't really promote. You know, Manny's a great guy and he does a lot for charity, but he does not get out there and promote. He doesn't say anything exciting. I'm not going to knock your head out. But Conor McGregor is like way over the top. And he promised to knock Mayweather out inside of 4 rounds. And he said if he disrespects him, he's going to drop an elbow in his forehead. And so he's out there just trying to sell this show relentlessly. And even though Floyd has to play his part, I think Floyd understands and loves this. You know, quietly, if he had a chance to walk down to the other locker room, he'd shake Conor's hand and say, I appreciate you.
You know, this is Floyd's last fight, I presume.
Yeah.
Is it possible Conor walks away with $100 million and he's done?
I think so. I think there's a good chance that he's done. You know, Dana White and Conor both say they think he's going to come back. He's going to defend his title at the end of the year. And I think that they both believe that. But, you know, after everything that Conor is going to go through in this, and believe me, this is so much work, getting ready for the fight, promoting the fight, all the stuff that go into it, and you get a check for $100 million plus, you know, you're looking and you say, do I really want to go through this again? And so it would not shock me at all. Conor McGregor is different than most guys, and he loves to fight. And I did an interview with him in LA at the news conference on Tuesday where he said, absolutely, I will come back. I'll take him at his word, but I kind of think when he thinks about it and he steps back and he has a chance to kind of exhale, I think he's going to say, you know what, this 120 million, whatever I just made, I think I'm good, and I'll see you guys later.
Kevin Iole joining us, Yahoo Sports boxing MMA writer. I was saying earlier today that UFC just sold for, you know, roughly $4 billion, whatever's been reported. If you told me I could buy boxing, I wouldn't even know who to call. I wouldn't even know how to buy boxing. Is that, I mean, boxing, like when I watch these two at this press conference, Kevin, I feel like it's a UFC press conference, not a boxing press conference. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, well, you saw yesterday in Toronto, at one point, the crowd was chanting UFC, UFC.
Right.
I mean, so they obviously, you know, Conor brought everybody out. Here's the thing, you know, when you look at where boxing is having a great year, but there is no central authority. There's no league. There's nothing compelling these guys to fight. You get an MMA and fans say, hey, I want to see this fight. Look how quickly Mayweather-McGregor came together.
Yes.
When it actually became a reality. Dana White got it done. Dana White said, my fans want to see Conor McGregor fight Floyd Mayweather. He didn't say, well, they're different sports, or I have this fight or that fight. He said, let's get it done. And he went out and they negotiated a deal and they got it done. That is the problem that boxing has. They don't put the fights on the fans want to see. Boxing is a phenomenal sport that I have watched and I have loved for over 50 years. But the promoters, they only see short term. They see the next score.
Yep.
One fight. They look one fight ahead of them. How much am I going to make off this? And they don't invest in the sport, and they don't look long term and say, let's build this so we have a product that the fans, they don't care who's fighting. They're going to sit down on Saturday or Friday or whenever the fight is on, and we want to see it. That's what Dana White has built and is continuing to build in the UFC, and that's what boxing could do if they had a better scenario and they had a business plan to run it.
Listen, in 25 years, we're still going to have boxing and we're going to have UFC. But I do feel like the UFC is better at generating or creating, even if it's somewhat synthetically, new stars. They kind of figure out a guy, they promote like you said, because of a centralized business plan. That UFC creates new stars that I don't even have to be a diehard UFC fan. I can go, I can put my arms around Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, John Jones, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell. Whereas boxing sometimes, if it's out of the United States, I don't really know the backstory. In 25 years, Dana White could be out of this business. Do you think the UFC will have separated from boxing altogether?
You know, boxing is always going to have a big star, and I think Anthony Joshua is going to be the next one, Colin, the heavyweight champion.
Yes.
charismatic guy. He was just in an absolutely phenomenal fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Sensational fight. It drew 90,000 to Wembley Stadium. It had big ratings on Showtime and HBO in the U.S. They sold over 1 million on pay-per-view in the U.K. But now the key is take it next step. You can't just be satisfied with that and say we're there. And what Dana White does is he says, I'm going to take this guy on a world tour, and he goes out and he promotes his person and he turns him into a star. And that's what we need the boxing promoters to do. I think there's a lot of athletes out there. Errol Spence, a lot of people in boxing say to me, Errol Spence could be the next Sugar Ray Leonard. Well, maybe in the ring, but Errol needs to get marketed and promoted outside the ring, and that's really hasn't happened as much as you want to see. Boxing needs that kind of thing. Do what Dana does. Spend money on marketing. Spend money on promotion. Expose your fighters to the audience, because if they do, people love the fights. They love a good fight. Whether it's boxing, whether it's MMA, they like a good fight. You just have to make sure that they care about who's fighting.
And finally, Kevin Iole, I've seen footage on the internet, and I would submit to you that McGregor is releasing footage that is purposefully awful.
Yeah, of course.
And that that's what I believe. That I could duck these punches. It's awful. What kind of, first of all, do you agree with that? And secondly, is it possible this could be entertaining for 40 minutes?
I do agree with you, and he was asked that in Los Angeles the other day, and he kind of smiled, and I don't know what you're talking about. Of course that's what he's doing, And I think on the one hand, you saw Mayweather on Tuesday, and I'm sure he did a little bit yesterday. I wasn't there, though. He's trying to build up Conor. Mayweather is saying, Conor's 21-0 when it's not on the ground. He's never been beaten on his feet. He's a great striker. He's a great stand-up fighter. I'm old. When have you ever heard Floyd Mayweather talk about he's old and he's not in shape and he can't train? So he's trying to build Conor up. Conor, though, is sitting there saying, hey, I want to get into Floyd's head, and I want to get into the fans' head. And, of course, that was phony. I mean, hey, look, the one thing we know about Conor McGregor, I don't think he's going to win because I don't think he knows how to box at the level Floyd Mayweather's at.
Agree.
But Conor McGregor is fast and he's strong, and he looks slow and weak in that video. That was intentional misdirection right there.